All right, guys, latest update on Project HELLSTANG. You guys remember in the last video, we had gotten the, the fuel pump was fixed. We got all the suspension stuff done, valve covers fixed, all that stuff. All we had to do was set the fuel pressure, and then we could drive this thing over to the alignment shop, get this thing aligned. But I started to actually start it the other day, yesterday, the day before, and it ran for 2 or 3 minutes. I was setting the fuel pressure. It was holding. All of a sudden, fuel pressure, boom, drops down to like 10, and then the car ends up dying. So it's doing the exact same thing it did before, where the pump will turn on, but it's not actually giving any pressure. So I don't think the pump was able to slide down anymore in the hat or in the housing, because I've got it, it's held on there with a like hose clamp, right? So it's really on there. But I think that the rubber hose, because the rubber hose never really fit too well, it's kind of like too small to go over the end of the actual fuel pump. So I had to kind of drill that hose out to make it a little bit bigger, spit on it, and I was able to kind of get it far enough down there, and I tightened the hell out of it. But I think that slid off. I'm gonna have to pull this freaking fuel tank for the 3rd time. So I should be pretty good at it, right? It should be really quick. And then what I decided to do is, instead of like just a rubber, hose, I ended up getting that clear, like kind of, I don't know if it's plastic, some kind of PTFE material that's corrugated for the for fuel pumps. That's gonna be here tomorrow. So I wanna get this thing all apart, get it ready, and then tomorrow I can swap that out. I have my install kit from QFS. It came with one of those corrugated tubes, and I ended up thinking, well, I'll just use the rubber line, because that's what I took off it. That's what came on the factory thing. And I ended up throwing away the stupid corrugated tube. So I was like, I'm not gonna ever use this thing. So now I had to order one. It was like $9 or something off Amazon. So we got that thing coming. It'll be here tomorrow. So now I just need to get this thing all apart again. Holy crap, you guys, look at this stupid thing. So it didn't come undone. The freaking rubber hose literally split right in half. So, can you freaking believe it? Holy cow. So, well, it makes me feel better. At least this time around, I didn't do anything wrong. We just had a hose failure, which is crazy because it's a brand new hose. I mean, the hose literally came with this QFS pump kit. So it also came with that corrugated, PTFE tube. So I would highly recommend, do not use, this. Go ahead and use that PTFE tube. So new one will be here tomorrow. So we'll get that knocked out tomorrow. I guess in the meantime, I can go ahead and we'll get this thing off real quick. Still wild that this thing just blew apart. So this side of the hose was the one where it was like really, really tight to get over the pump. This side of the hat up here fit fine. So this side I actually had to kind of clamp it, and I was using my drill bit just to try to like make it a little bit bigger, so I could see if this part split, right? Because I put my drill in there, but I didn't drill this side at all, because this one, like I said, this fitting up here or whatever, is a little bit smaller. So yeah, but look at that thing. It's just like a weird thin cover over like this kind of weaved, I don't know, plastic middle. But anyway, yeah, this thing sucks. So all right, we'll get our new part. Let me show you guys something else that might be really cool. So this is just a little sneak peek, but I ended up reusing this little factory like delete panel thing that was in here. So this actually had this Sony like CD changer thing from 30 years ago. This was just had like sticky tape, on here, and then it had a hole over in the left corner for the wire to go through. So I was able to just reuse it, and I just popped this thing off, and then I used some Velcro, just some 3M Velcro on the backside of the Holley Terminator little screen here, and so it's just kind of mounted right there. I thought about putting it in the middle, but it seemed like with the shifter and stuff, it was a little bit easier, to be able to see it. First gear is going to be the worst, but you're cruising, 3rd or 5th or whatever. It's just a little bit easier for me to see right there. But I think this is pretty cool. I know like MF Customs, Danny Kimbler, I know he's working on like a really cool 3D printed kind of panel that'll go in here and then put the screen in there, and I think it's even angled a little bit to you. So that's going to be a cool way to go. Once he gets those done, I'll probably end up switching to that. But for now, this cost me, you know, $0, right? I just had some Velcro left over from something else, and then I already have this panel, so it's good to go. And then tomorrow, I've also got a new head unit coming in. So it's a single DIN, but it's I think it's a 5-inch screen. 4-inch or 5-inch screen, but anyway, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you know, all that stuff. So I'll be able to plug my phone in and have GPS actually show up on here, which would be freaking awesome. Like for when we do, you know, power tour next year, long cruises and stuff like that. And then the radio was like $55, I think, maybe $50. It was super cheap. So and then I got a Metra little harness install kit, all that stuff. So we'll do a video on that too, but that should be a pretty simple install, but I'm pretty stoked. And then I did get a splitter too for the Holly, so that way I can, you know, have this thing plugged in, showing me stuff, and then also be able to have the laptop plugged in as well. So I've got to get that splitter installed. I'm going to wait till I do the whole radio, and then we'll get that all installed and stuff. But I got this thing off Amazon, and it was super cheap, like $5, something like that. I'll put the link down below, I forget, but really cheap compared to like buying the one from Holly, right? And I mean, it's just some wiring and connectors, so should work just fine. All right, I wasn't going to change it, but now that I'm looking at this front suspension, I think it's just freaking too low. So I'm gonna go ahead and blow the wheels off, and let's just quickly adjust these coilovers. I'm thinking I'm just gonna raise it up about an inch or so. Right now I can get kind of 2 fingers between the top of the fender and the tire. I'd like to get 3, and I'm hoping that that little extra bit of clearance will, you know, have us being able to go over speed bumps and stuff like that. So just got done with this side, and you can see now we got, you know, much bigger gap. Yeah, that's about perfect. It's about 3 fingers. So I could only get 2 in before. So let's try this. I don't want to go any higher. I mean, that's still a bigger gap than I would like, but good enough for now. But you can see on this side, this is quite a bit smaller. So yeah, this one you can only get about 2 fingers. So we're gonna do the same thing on this side now, raise it up a little bit. I think I did 7 or 8 turns on that side, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. Both sides are adjusted. Both I've got about 3 fingers width in there, and obviously this thing is still at a hard raked angle down because the rear's jacked up. But you know, earlier I was kind of putting my foot underneath this lip spoiler thing, and like, I mean, there's only enough room right here, like for my foot to get this far under there, right? So it'll go up a bit though once the rear end goes down. But yeah, I just want to make sure if we're driving this thing, hitting, you know, speed bumps and potholes, you know, I don't want this thing getting all smoked out. So even though it doesn't seem like that low to me. So I don't know. I still don't like the wheel gap being that big. But again, that downpipe sticks down kind of far. So you know, maybe that's something we'll fix over the winter. I'll cut this and I can modify it, make it up, you know, a little bit tighter to the chassis. But it looks a lot better. I mean, it's still low, but at least it's got 3 or 4 inches right there now. And actually, maybe it'll have more once the front end comes up, once the rear goes down. So yeah, so that should be cool. Because before, man, it was like 2 inches. All right, so USPS just came through with this hose that we need. So hopefully it's long enough. Hopefully it's the right size. Comes with clamps, so that's cool. So this is the tube I was talking about. I guess this is like a PTFE material, so it's rated for E85, all that good stuff. And yeah, so we'll see if it ends up being a little bit small. Then I guess what I heard is you take a heat gun, you just heat it up, get it over it, and then when it cools, it'll shrink back down and be really, really tight. And then they do give us some clamps as well. Oh, and these are kind of some cool crimp clamps. So I do have a tool for this as well. This is actually the same kind of tool that you use to clamp down the clamps like on your CV boot. So when I did the Mustang suspension, I actually bought a tool for that. So I'll be able to get that really, really tight. That'll be great. Actually, these are going to be a lot easier than these stupid clamps too. So, all right, so let's see if we can get this thing on here and see how well it'll work. So this is the bigger side. One of these is 8 millimeters. One of them's 9 millimeters. So yeah, I think this is the bigger side. And so yeah, they both are a bit tight. So I probably will have to heat them up a little bit. And then yeah, that should be a great fit though once it's on there. And then I just got to figure out how I'm gonna like loop it or whatever, because it is maybe a little bit too long for what I need. But all right, we're gonna mess with it. We'll figure it out. So it didn't take a whole lot of heat from the heat gun. When I did this first one, I got it a little bit too hot and it actually kind of like started to like, when I tried to push it on, it kind of started to like deform. But then I let it cool for a sec and then it just slid right on. So really, really easy. This one I just used, low heat just for a few seconds and then it popped right on there. Now my hose is probably a little bit too long. I could have went with the shorter one, but I wasn't sure. They sell these things in like all different lengths and sizes and stuff. So I knew I wanted the 8 and 9 millimeter because I think that's like 5/16 and 3/8 is what that equates to in inches. But yeah, a little bit too long, but I think it'll work. Hopefully it'll pass through the tank and stuff. But all right, so now we're just set to go ahead and put everything back together and see if we can get this thing to start and actually make fuel pressure, and then we can set the fuel pressure, and hopefully we can start it or drive it. All right, gas tank is back in. That is a wrap on that. So let's see if we're getting any fuel pressure up here. Oh, we don't have keys, of course, right? Come on. Pumps on. I hear it up here at the rails, and I see it moving. So cool. Yeah, because whenever it's like not pumping, you can't hear it filling up the rail. So, all right, we're good. Now I'm going to go get the laptop. We'll try to start it again, and then let's see if we can get, get the laptop to show with that sensor 43 psi, and then this thing, should be drivable. All right, let's see if it'll start and run, and let us set this fuel pressure. All right, so it's holding about 54 psi. So we need to turn it down a bit. $49. That's 45, it looks like. Give it a tickle. All right, that's showing 44, so we should be good to go. I just gotta lock this down. All right, our flex fuel sensor is reading 74% ethanol, so that's good. Yeah, fuel pressure's holding at 44. That's awesome. Oil pressure looks okay. Sounds okay. Still got slight exhaust tick that I can hear, but it's probably the downpipe. But once you put a hood on it, it should be all right. So that might be the next thing we do is we'll go get the hood on this bad boy. Woo! All right, guys, so after, what, 6 months, 7 months, the freaking hood is finally back on the car. Oh, it's looking awesome. I can't wait. I want to get this thing outside and kind of clean it off a bit, and then either take it for a drive today, maybe not, if not, maybe tomorrow morning. But first thing I want to do, too, is get this little splitter installed. So this is just going to connect right to your Holley, where they got the little, connector, and then it's just going to split so that we can run the 3.5-inch LCD as well as have the cable for our laptop. So I've already got, this kind of popped off real quick, and yeah, we're just going to stick that in there, and then again, connect our wire that's already kind of tucked all in here for the laptop. And then I'm going to have our little 3.5-inch guys just going to come right here, right behind here, and then connect right there. So just going to wrap this up real quick. That way, if we do drive it around, at least we'll have some gauges there that are, visible to us. We can see the boost pressure, air fuel, whatever we want to see on that little guy. All right, we got her connected. Let's see if our display comes on. Okay, it does. Sweet. All right, so we're in business with that, and I just got to put this back together. All right, it's working. It started, yeah. Look, you want to hear? What do you think? Should we go for a ride? All right, fellas, I'm going to end it right here in the next video. We're going to be taking this thing for a drive. We'll get it to the alignment shop, and then hopefully we can cruise this thing around and, get some miles on it and see what else is going on. So like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you boys on the next one. Woo!